Peace and prosperity. This is Asaya Mystic, or you can call me Asaya the CREATRIX. If you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, I appreciate you so much for still being a part of the Asaya Mystic family. Today I want to talk about my journey. I want to talk about my journey and how so much of my journey has been relative to so many of the feminine energy crises that I have witnessed within the women that come to me who, whether consciously or subconsciously, want to work with me or want my help or want my guidance. And I've just realized that there has been a lot of things that I have mastered from my journey. A lot of things that I have not even shared on this channel about myself and my journey. That it's time for me to share, because there's so many women that are out here that need my help, that need the magic and the assistance that I have to give, and so much of that is embedded within my story and my journey. So I want to start off with I realized how much mastery I've come into recently from a recent play date that I had with a friend. And she shared with me when we were on our play date, just automatically, she just started sharing with me everything about what's been going on in her life, and everything that she shared, I'm just like, this is literally exactly what I went through, right? I not only had that moment with her, but I've had that kind of moment with a lot of other women recently. And over time, but specifically recently, they've just been coming to me, and I'm like, oh my God, I've been through that exact same thing. So for me in my journey, okay, right in the beginning of my YouTube journey, I was in an abusive I was in a relationship with a full-blown narcissist, okay? Covert narcissist, abusive mentally, emotionally, not physically abusive, okay, but mentally and emotionally. Those things, when you are a very sensitive and empathic person, will take a toll on you very, very quickly, and it will begin to impede on your ability to function in a healthy way, mentally, emotionally, and physically, even if they are not physically putting their hands on you. Okay, physically, it will take a toll on you. And for me, that was my experience. I was straight out of college, 20, 21 years old, and I didn't know anything about love, relationships, or anything like that, okay? The only thing that I was focused on at that time was my cultivating my relationship with spirituality and magic and the unknown and everything like that. And that was when I first started my channel. And so my journey into that relationship, led me to realize how important cultivating feminine energy was, and my femininity was in my spirituality, within being spiritual and being a magical woman, and working in all of these different magical ways. At that time, I disconnected spirituality and femininity and really my lifestyle. Like, I disconnected the two, and I didn't really understand the balance that was to be had in order to fully embody myself as a spirit, which is what spirituality is, essentially. So in that relationship, I found myself basically becoming pregnant very soon within the relationship. I would say like 3 months within the relationship, I was pregnant. And I realized that he was, cheating on me. He was seeing other women. Um, he was using me on a lot of different levels because he had other children that he would want me there to help him, to take care of, to watch. Um, there were a lot of times where he was down and out and his car wasn't working and things like that. And I, would let him borrow my car, and I kind of just like would give. And I was doing my best to try to create boundaries within that scenario, by, instead of going, and staying at his place, because he gave me a key, go stay at my own place. Go live at where I actually have my place at, right? Instead of just completely merging my life so quickly with someone else's, start to kind of like create those boundaries. And I didn't really begin to let go until I found out that I was being cheated on, and that I was in fact in a relationship with a highly toxic, abusive, narcissistic person. And so from there, I made the decision to go out on my own and go back. Well, I wouldn't even say go out on my own, but move in with my mom, because I was actually invited. My mom invited me to move out into the state of Washington. I was living in New Orleans at the time. And I moved out to the state of Washington to, start a new life, living with my parents again. And, or, my mom and her husband, so my stepdad. And when I made that transition, it was hard. It was very, very hard, because now I found myself in a position that I never imagined myself to be in. I was, previously, quote unquote, doing so well in life. I was just finished, graduating college, got my bachelor's. I had my own brand new car. I was making my own money. I was Miss Independent, I was living with my dad at the time, so I wasn't fully independent. But I was just, I felt like I was on the road to something really, exciting. But I was never raised, and I was never made to understand that as a woman, you are naturally going to desire companionship. You are naturally going to desire to want to start procreating, to want to begin to have a family, to want those things too. And because I didn't have the proper understanding of how to show up in the world as a woman in relationships, that put me, in that position at that present moment where I had to learn. Actually, I had to grab my womanhood. I had to take my womanhood and I had to own it. Okay. And in that, in coming to live with my parents again, I hadn't fully released that previous relationship. I was still holding on, was still having hope that maybe it could be something, that maybe I could let go of all of the mistakes and all of the things that was said and all of the abuse. And in the midst of all of that, I realized it was like all of my inner child trauma, everything that I had happened in my life up until that moment within my family. And as a teenager, as a child, it was like it was all coming in up to the surface during my pregnancy, during the time that I was becoming a mother myself. So it brought me into deep, deep levels of releasing. Okay. And typically what that releasing looks like for me, it looked like dealing with panic attacks. It looked like dealing with severe anxiety. I had prepartum and postpartum depression. I don't know what it means to be depressed the whole time that you're pregnant and after you're pregnant, but that's what I had. I was suffering from panic attacks after I gave birth from my daughter. And I'm not talking about no baby panic attacks. People talk about, oh, I got anxiety too. Like, I'm talking about the kind of panic attacks where I could not feel my body. Nothing was solid. Like, my world was just, I couldn't function, you know. I tried to get a job, as a counselor because I graduated from college with a BA in behavioral studies. So I wanted to start putting that to work, and I had a job for about 2 months in the counseling field. And I realized how, I could not work, a job after just giving birth to a baby. Like, every single day I was thinking about my baby. Every single day I was wishing that I could just be with my baby. Every single day I couldn't stop thinking about my child. And it got to the point where I had so much anxiety, like, that's when I started going into full-blown panic attacks. And so the releasing of all of that abuse, of all that trauma, started coming up through my body. And my body started to, tell me something's, wanting to be released. You need to let this go. I could say that, oh, I got sick. I could say all of these different terminologies, but that doesn't reflect the truth of what was actually happening. What was actually happening was my body wanted to let go of that trauma and that pain. And so I got sick. And that's where my spine, I later on discovered that I had lost a curvature in my spine that was the cause of my anxiety. It was cutting off blood circulation to my brain. Like, that was the cause of, my depression. It was the cause of, I had really bad IBS. My stomach would be hurting really bad. I was having womb issues. Really, the list goes on. I was having heart palpitations, my heart arrhythmia. Like, my heart was just, like, nights where I could not go to sleep, my heart was just beating so fast. It didn't matter how much water I drank. It didn't matter how much plants that I ate or how much green juice I drank. I was literally in a crisis because I had no freaking idea what the hell was happening to me. In my, before I had even gotten pregnant or was in that relationship, I was studying, under an herbalist that was teaching me about living, a fruitarian, vegan, plant-based diet, and how it's the key to health, and how fasting is the key to life, and, how you got to do yoga every day. And so I had come to a level of mastery in that. I had worked on my body. I would work out, do these vigorous workouts and hit workouts and a weight train, and I was hitting a crisis in my life because all of those things was no longer working for me. The green juice wasn't working. The fasting wasn't working. The yoga was not working. Like, none of it was working. And though there is truth in in all of it, right? Fasting does have the ability to heal you. Elements of yoga, right, does have the ability to open you up. And all of those things has elements of truth. Me applying, right, those things at that point in my life, it wasn't working anymore. And so I had a decision to make. I had a decision to to make in regards to what I thought I knew and what I thought was the right way to go. You know, the man that I chose to be the father of my child and to be the one for me, you know, I thought, you know, he was the one because he was doing all these great things in the world, because he, you know, created this business that I had was so, you know, has so much admiration for. I felt like he had so much love for the people in the community, right? And I also saw the women around me, you know, basically validating that he was okay, right? He was okay to engage with and to be with on that level. And I was also battling and trying to understand the truth in that none of those things makes a quality man. Like none of those things makes a man that is healthy and aligned with you and who you are as a woman. It has nothing to do with how great he is in the community and all the amazing things he does for other people and the service that he partakes in and everything like that. Like none of that matters if he is abusive and mistreats the feminine women, the women in his life, the woman that is closest to him, his own inner emotional state. If his own inner emotional state is being neglected and he's not going into his own state of healing, embracing the feminine so he can heal himself, then that all of those things don't matter. It was like I was going through that period of accepting all of that. And it was a tough thing to do, to let go of all the things I had previously assumed to be true or be taught to be true, or just, you know, it was just in the air, like, oh, this is the accepted truth. I was being pushed into, there's something else. There's something else. There's something else. The truth lives inside of you. The truth lives inside of you, Asaya. And so in that place that I was in, of holding my baby, barely being able to feel my body, you know, having so much anxiety, and I'm not going to take myself back to that place, but I was at that place where I was like, if I don't bring myself and allow myself to receive what's meant for me, even though it goes against everything that I previously believed, I was starting to have visions that I was not going to be here anymore and I was going to be gone. And to have that kind of epiphany that if you don't love yourself now, if you don't step into who you're meant to be now and let go of all that other stuff, because you know it's not meant for you anymore because of the way it is making you feel. If you don't do this now, we're showing you. So you can choose to focus there, or you can choose to focus in the direction of where life wants you to go. And so I chose, in the midst of that, of being in such a fragile state of mind and having all of these traumas come up, you know, living with my parents and realizing how a lot of my experiences with, you know, that I had created in my relationships had come from there, you know, had come from my rearing, had come from my raising, had come from also the dynamics that existed before me, you know, the relationships that, you know, my parents had, and not just on an ancestral level, but I started to see on a collective energetic level how much the feminine had been suppressed and how much the feminine had been distorted so that nobody can access their inner truth, so that nobody can access their revelation, so that everybody can stay a sheep and stay asleep and continue just believing things that, just to pacify you, but never actually give you what your soul needs. I started to see all of those things. And so from there, I made the decision to instead be magical and create regardless of whatever is around me, whether it be, jealous people, the negative relationships that I had in my life, in my journey out of that, I did my best to try and make friends. But typically when you are coming out of an energy that you were so used to being in, a lot of the women that were around me, they weren't on that frequency. They were still on the, low self-worth, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to just keep the peace, or, subconsciously wanting to still please men and deny themselves. It was like, I had to make peace with also not being able to connect with women and make the friendships that I wanted to make and have. And it was all divine. It was all divine because I decided to work my magic. So even though I had jealous women, around me, or women who were struggling in their own femininity, I called in those higher level women to guide me out of that situation. The women that have been through similar experiences to get me from point A to point B, right? That's the importance of having a coach or having a guide or having a sisterhood. For me, I had a coach, okay? Someone that can guide you and help you move through that energy so you can create, right? And hold that space and container for you. I had to work my magic, y'all. And I did. I decided that wasn't going to be my reality. I was not going to be suffering anymore on any level. And so when I made that decision, that's when I decided to start dating again. Even though my body was still, wibbly and wobbly, I decided to start dating again. Even though I didn't know what to do with my body and what was going on with my body, I knew I was going to do something. I knew I was going to get up and move. I know I was going to go in the sun. I know that I was going to work out. Even though that was making, something that was making things a little worse, I did it anyway. And it started to give rise to what I needed to know. Okay? Me working out every single day was not good. It wasn't that great because it was making my spine go deeper into the what was basically its misalignment. But the pain, right? And me tuning into my body, just the act of me tuning into my body through working out, allowed me to see what was wrong and the root cause. Because a lot of times we don't even know what's wrong. It's just, we just feel the symptoms. We think the symptoms are the problem. Symptoms are never the problem. It's always something at the core. That was when I discovered about my, that I had the misalignment in my spine. And not only that, but me discovering that allowed my family to also discover, you know, that they also had misalignments in their spine. You know, so it was a collective healing that was taking place at that time of me moving into that. I decided to go out and start dating again and start and be loved. And the quality and caliber of men that I started to meet and that I began dating was unlike anything that I had ever experienced before. It almost it made me, you know, a little kind of like, what the hell was wrong with me? And why was I, you know, had I not been shown the way earlier in life, you know, it did. At first, you grow resentful. You grow resentful that you did not know these things. You could have saved so much time, so much energy, so much effort. You got to go through that level, that stage of releasing. You know, you got to go through that so that you can move on. But I went through that. I went through that being pissed off, you know. Why didn't anybody tell me I could be loved like this? Why didn't anybody show me I could be treated so well? You know? Everything that I wanted in a man, I manifested. You know, I created that experience for myself through my different rituals and I guess you could call them spells, through my rituals and my spells and my magic. And that's when I really and truly believed that I could create. And I stopped making everything about, you know, money and finances, because I also realized that a lot of what was keeping me stuck in the position that I was in of being broken and down and out and feeling like I was stuck at my parents' house and feeling like the only way that I could, you know, feel feminine is if I went back to that relationship, because at least I knew that, you know, he would take care of the place, you know, the bills and things like that. Like, and that's also another thing that it's like, the only way for me to be taken care of is if I have to compromise and if I have to be with someone I know is not good for me. Right? Like, there was a lot of things that I had to move through and release to actually embrace that, yes, I can be loved on and taken care of without compromising myself, without being in a relationship, without any of those things. I can be taken care of. And when I'm taken care of, I also realize that my daughter is taken care of. She has everything she needs. She's happy because she needs me. She needs me to be emotionally well, to be healthy, and all of these things. So I had to move through that. And in that experience, I also had to let go of a lot of people. I had to let go of a lot of people. And this is also another kind of crisis that women go through when they come to me is, you know, you're realizing that the people around you are not good for you. They could be your family. They could be friends. You know, y'all have this relationship or connection forever. But then there's this pivotal moment in your life, right? This drastic kind of tower moment. Maybe someone passes away. There's this kind of death that happens for either you, something in your life, someone in your life, and then boom, you know, all of a sudden it's the twilight zone, and people, you know, that you thought loved you treat you with this hatred that you didn't even know was possible. I didn't know you could be so evil and malicious. Like, I didn't know that this was in you. So I had to embrace, you know, the transformation in that. The power that I was being pointed towards in that. And, fast forward today, I no longer have that issue in my spine. My body is very healthy. I am extremely flexible. I can go into the splits. I can do all kinds of back bends, and, you know, my body is open in such a way that before, when I was trying to implement all of the other things, that I find that a lot of women still, like, they're in this like confusion mode of like, I don't know what the hell to do. I just want to be healthy. I'm trying to like stay healthy, but I don't know what to do. Over here somebody saying be plant-based and fast and this and that, and none of it is working. On top of that, you're dealing with the trauma of your family, of, past relationships, all of this stuff from your subconscious, from your lunar feminine energy, which I love to call, which is your soul energy, your subconscious, that's wanting to come through for you to release all of that. Sometimes it comes through your body, in a physical illness. Sometimes it's a mental, an emotional disease, right? And disorder, where you fall into depression, fall into anxiety, you fall into these states where I am just not happy. Something's wrong. That's what I had to move through, y'all. And that is what I am helping women who work with me to move through, because I've been through it. And I came out on the other side, even when the blindfolds were over me and I had no idea what to do. So I learned how to work my magic. I learned how to do my rituals, do my spells, connect with myself, manifest through my soul, and not just with all of these different techniques, but with my connection to who I am, realigning my beliefs with the truth of the feminine. And that, I truly do believe, is what has me on my earth path, is what has me in a healthy state of mind, in a healthy body, in a happy a living situation, in a happy state of being. And now I'm just being called to step into that leadership position and help other women. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching this video. And if any of what I have shared today has moved you, if you feel the resonance, if you feel the call to step into coaching, mentorship with me, then the CREATRIX Unleashed is the experience for you. And it doesn't have a start date, doesn't have an end date. It's just an experience that I am combining everything that I have ever taught. You will have access to everything that I have ever taught within this container, but also I'm going to be tailoring everything that I'm teaching and that I'm coaching to you specifically, so that you can get to where you are going out of this crisis moment, right? Out of these crisis moments into the next level of what you're meant to be living, who you're meant to be living as, what you're meant to be experiencing in your creative power. For some of you, that's finding a husband to take care of you, finding a provider to take care of you, and being in love, experiencing love, not worrying about, money, bills, responsibilities, and having these things, taken care of. For others of you, it's tapping into your magic and your spirituality and remembering yourself on a spiritual and soul level, so that you can overcome all of these lower frequency type of energies that want to drag you down and pull you down. Right? So for others of you, you're wanting to really just step into a feminine way of creating and not be so feeling like everything has to be done in a masculine way, in a way that doesn't fulfill you, it doesn't bring you pleasure, and you know it in your soul and your bones because you're worn out, you're tired, and you are exhausted. And so these are the women that I find that come to me, and they get the most results when they work with me. They get the most elevation and transformation when they come into my container. And so that's my invitation to you. I will be doing a lot more on this channel and a lot more in general, because I feel very, very clear now as to what my purpose is and what my gift is and what I'm here to really transmute and transform in the lives of other women. So, I was still exploring and experimenting, I feel like, before, and now I just feel like really, really clear, as far as this goes. And there's always more clarity to be gained. There's always more clarity to be gained. So I love you all so much. You are all, precious to me, very precious to me. Make sure you comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on this video. Share if you have a similar experience. Let me know where you're at in your journey. And if you want to work with me, make sure that you book a call with me at the link below, or send me a message on Instagram at Asaya the CREATRIX, and we can chat more about what working together would look like. So I appreciate you all, and thank you for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Peace.